This is the Crowdcrux Crowdfunding Podcast with Sal Briggman, where we cover everything you need to know to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign. We speak with proven entrepreneurs who've raised money from the crowd and want to teach you how to do the same. Stay tuned because we're about to reveal how to launch your dream project with your host, Sal Briggman.
Before we get started with this podcast episode, I want to take a second to introduce you to my friends at Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping out your Kickstarter or Indiegogo perks or rewards, Fulfillrite is the absolute best company for you. I've been working with them for a while and I can vouch for their services. They make it dead simple and take all of the headache out of shipping out all of those boxes, all of those orders to your backers and your customers. If you want to check them out, go to fulfillrite.com at fulfillrite.com. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman and welcome. If this is your first time on the show, basically we get into the nitty gritty of launching a crowdfunding campaign, how to raise money successfully on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I interview successful entrepreneurs and sort of dissect and get into what they did right, how they drive traffic to their projects, how they got pledges, how they ranked well on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and even how to actually create one of these products, how to create a product that people love. We answer all of those questions on this show, and I've done that now for over 200 episodes, and that's not slowing down anytime soon. Today's episode is a little different than some of my other episodes because typically I have on someone who's successfully raised money. They've raised 6 figures, 7 figures on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, or maybe they've done a nonprofit crowdfunding campaign. Instead, today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to expose you to a successful business owner who's right now gearing up to the launch of his crowdfunding campaign and to pick his brain, because Alex basically reached out to me. He's like, hey Sal, I've been following you for years now. You put out incredible content. I'm finally getting around to my crowdfunding campaign. I've done a lot of great stuff in my life. He's founded a very successful company in the gaming industry. He's also had a lot of different accolades in his lifetime. He's invested in real estate. He's made millions. It's been an incredible just to listen and to hear a little bit about his journey, which you're going to hear in just a second. But basically, he wanted to come on and share some of the lessons that he learned from his career with you and can apply to assembling a team, leadership. How do you actually have a successful business? How do you structure this? If you're interested in getting to other stuff, aside from just crowdfunding, I think this is going to be a very valuable lesson for you, and particularly for the business owners out there. Perk your ears up, because I think anytime you have the opportunity to learn from someone who's been there and done it, and also now their approach towards a new campaign, I think it's just very valuable information. So we'll also get a bit into what he's doing to prepare for this project, learn a bit more about that, and really get into, for me, I want to focus on leadership this year and how to get better at assembling a team of people around you in your project, particularly maybe when you don't have the most resources and you don't have necessarily the know-how. So you're going to discover all of that in today's episode. Now, if you have not yet, I urge you, go and check out this link if you are interested in speaking directly with me. If you don't want to do a one-on-one call, we're sitting across the table from each other, we're talking about your project, we're basically getting into the entire way that you've constructed this launch plan, setting it up better, enhancing it, reviewing your video, reviewing any materials that you have, connecting you with resources and people in the industry. I do a really intensive coaching session, and I'll share this link for you if you're interested in scheduling one of these with me. The link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. That is crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link will take you to a form where you can enter some information about you, yourself, your business, your goals, your aspirations, so I can know a little bit more before our call, and also some of the other stuff like what your fundraising goal will be or what you're looking to raise money for. So again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. coaching. Now, I have a lot of different types of students. I have people who come to me who don't even have a product yet. They just have an idea. They want to learn how to actually make this thing. I have other students who have followed my work for a long time, read my books, consume my YouTube videos, listen to my podcast, and now they're finally ready to launch their campaign. So it doesn't matter which stage you are in. I promise you, this is going to be the most valuable call that you will have in your lifetime, and I think you're going to like it a lot. Without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode and learn how Alex was able to launch and grow a successful company and some of the valuable lessons that he has for you. Alex, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Sal. I appreciate you asking me to be on your show and sharing some of the life lessons of business that I've learned and maybe to help others. I'm always here to share and help others as best I can in business. But first, you might say, why me?
Well, also,
what do I know?
Really quick question here. How is it that we got connected? Because I know you've been following my work for like a little bit, and we only recently had a call, a coaching call here. I would love if you could just share really quickly with the listeners, how we got connected.
Yeah. First off, I'm always studying and reading books and trying to improve myself and trying to move business and other things forward. And in that process, I wasn't looking to take my next social entrepreneur venture into a Kickstarter world, but I was researching that just in case I decided to go that way. And that started a few years back. And I came across Sal on a podcast, and from there I bought his book, and I've been following him ever since. And it makes a lot of good sense to me, and I really appreciate all the resources that he listed and so forth. And from that, he had on his podcast one time, Mad Hatter Agency with Eli. And from there, I started looking at Eli's blogs and what he was doing and stuff. And as I got further with our social engineering project, it became necessary to do a Kickstarter project. Why Kickstarter? Because it's not just building product. I need to get product out in the hands of others who are actually using it to drive traction for other people to see it, believe it, and then document it, and then take it on to the corporate world. Mm-hmm. We have relationships with a lot of big box retailers and other things, but like anything, they want to know who's using it, where, how, and what's the cost and so forth. So Kickstarter seemed to be a great platform to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I really want to get into all of that. I want to get into your project,
sure.
Who this is for, the technology that you're building, the prototype, all that kind of stuff, the things that have been leading into that. I guess we can start sort of here is, just asking you a little bit about your career, because I know there are a lot of different, industries that you've worked with. Maybe
Sure.
you could just spend a few seconds here to tell the listeners a little bit about, your work history and sort of what you've done there.
Sure. I'll just highlight just my work history. Basically, early in life, out of college, I started in the automotive world as a service advisor, service manager, service director of a group of dealerships. From there, I went on to Avis Rent-A-Car, and I actually ended up overseeing 13 states for them and crew of people and 18,000 vehicles back in the early 70s. Also from there, Avis merged with Budget Rent-A-Car, and I ended up becoming head of the nation for Avis Budget for anything that was maintenance and damage related to vehicles, or so everything. Also, I ended up with a career where I actually worked for International Game Technology, and they're the world's largest leader in slot machines. And I became their marketing manager in charge of trade shows, international sales, a whole host of things that gave me some more background and knowledge later on in life that I'll share with you in a minute. Along the way, I also worked for a company called Zbeck, which was starting to build motherboards, electronic boards for IBM. And I became a system plant manager out there and oversaw the robotics department and all that, and setting up a whole new plant. What a wonderful experience that was, to say the least. And all these three companies is something new each time, and that drives me to there.
It's insane too. Like those are really big leadership roles. Having to manage teams of people, having to coordinate, have a project. And then I know you went off on your own and started your own company. But before we get to that, just really quickly, from doing these different tasks and setting up these intricate systems, like what did you learn from like a leadership perspective? Because that was kind of early in your career. You were taking on these really big opportunities.
Well, I like to say first of all that I worked hard, long, and had a lot of achievements, and a lot of people believed in me and promoted me on through over all others that they could have chose at that point in time. I learned early on in life that to manage really is means to plan, organize, lead, and control. And there's categories of each of that, but you really have to look A to Z how this whole thing's going. You really have to be a visionary of where you're taking that particular job or business and how you're going to improve it and how it's going to function better and make more profit for that particular company. And again, people promoted me and did things not because they liked me as much as that, I made money for them and I was successful. And I went on from there. Obviously, I was in different companies in different areas I didn't have really any real background in, especially in developing boards for IBM. But again, I studied hard and I was part of a team and I was leading a team. And that's what really makes a difference. You don't do these things by yourself. You bring your teams together and you're only as successful as the team, and you need to give the credit to the team. It's not about it's about we and how we did this and so forth. I learned that early in life.
How
and
many
about
people,
giving back.
How many people would you say you were managing, or how many people were in your team that you were having to, be the leader and having to make sure that everyone's ducks are in a row and such?
Well, I could tell you at ZBEC, we had about 800 people overall and an assistant plant manager. You're running that on a daily basis and doing things. When you get back to Avis Budget, I don't know where they're at today, but I can tell you when I started with them, just in Avis alone, and back in the early 70s, at that particular time, I was in charge of 18,000 vehicles and had about 180 people that I was directly responsible for in the facilities throughout 13 states. And again, it's a coordinating effort, and you better have your ducks in a row. You better have your information as far as knowing your numbers, and where you're spending money, how you're spending money, how you're going to save money. There's a lot to it. And again, I learned from some of the best people in each of those industries. Mm-hmm. And basically going on from there, with that kind of background and stuff, I took a sabbatical, and I also went out and built my own house at the age of 30. And I built a 3,260 square foot Victorian farmhouse on some acreage out in Gardenville, Nevada. And that was a life experience. And it took me about a year to get it enclosed and be able to get inside it. But anyways, long story short, I went on from there. Later in life, I founded a Quicksilver development company. We built slot machines, arcade games, and bulk vending. And we sold that equipment worldwide. I traveled extensively all over. Met a lot of neat people. We sold products to Walmart, to Gameco, Disney, Sega, you name it. Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese, yeah, man.
Yeah, we our first. It's kind of interesting. Our first arcade game was a little game called. It's like a Chuck E. Cheese. It was a little tabletop game in a cabinet that we did. It's called Awesome Rat. We went to a trade show, never having gone to one before. And at the trade show, we sold about 200 units on our own to various companies. But Sega USA heard that we were having this tremendous luck, and they looked at our product, which was really slick and nice and professional. They came to us and said, we're not in the redemption game business. We're in the video game business, but we'd like to get into the side. We made a deal with them on the floor where they would sell product for us and finance some of it. And we came out of that trade show with an order of 750 games.
Jeez.
It was unbelievable.
Wow.
And now the problem is, how are you going to build 750 games when we have one prototype that we took to the show?
Yeah. That's a good quality problem to have. And that's incredible. I mean, you're basically, you're dealing with some of the major players in the industry. I actually, way back when, I got to meet the founder of Atari, who also I think went on to make Chuck E. Cheese, if I'm right.
You're talking about Nolan Bushnell, who was a good friend. Yeah. And we actually, it's kind of funny, Nolan Bushnell did start Chuck E. Cheese. He was with Atari, founding that as well. And he started another company after that to do an internet jukebox. And he tagged our company, Quicksilver Development, to produce the cabinet and stuff while he was doing electronics to start the first internet jukebox in the world. And we provided that for him. Yeah, we provided that for him as well. But, here's what happens, Sal. You have a successful company and you are having profit, and everybody wants to join you. Everybody wants to be part of the team and help out and be a part of that. And you will not believe the opportunities, people that will call you and stuff and say, hey, whatever. We actually did a thing where from our early first game in arcade, and plus we were in slot machines and we were developing our own electronic boards and stuff, we were actually the premier company that were providing electronic package systems to Atari and a whole bunch of other companies that would put our electronics in their particular games. So basically what they do is they would conceive a game, build a cabinet, do some graphics, send it over to our company. We would outfit it with all of our electronics and sound systems and so forth, bring it to life, and then sell them all the electronic boards and wiring for those particular games. And that's how we got into doing work for Skee Ball. I can go on and on with all the companies that we did, but we were the premier company behind the scenes doing all that. In fact, go ahead.
Oh, I was just kind of curious. Like, so when it came to the gaming company, this is a whole new venture that you started, going from corporate America, taking those skills, having a little bit of a sabbatical there, and then kind of going and deciding to launch this startup company, which is a whole different beast in and of itself. How many people did you have like working for you or part of your team with that company?
It depends. The company's rolled up and down. Basically, like today, I try to keep the number of people and the size of the facilities down and outsource as much as I can. We do hire people that are the top in their field. We had a guy, Roy Peterson, that worked for Microsoft and other large companies, and we were doing things with him on the side at night. And one thing led to another. He came to work for us full time. So again, we outsource as much as we can, hiring talent and whatnot, because a lot of these projects start and stop. One of the reasons we got into the arcade business and games is because when you're in the slot machine business, that's all regulated by license and states and so forth and so on. And it's a long time to get all that approved and get your ducks in line. It costs a lot of money, and you never know where you're going to be with that. Where if you get into the arcade redemption business, if you can build it, basically you can sell it, and there's no less barriers to entry into the market, you might say. And that's the reason we went into that. But as we got into that, like I said, we were building electronic boards for ourselves, but to continue that with our employees and all that, it became necessary to start selling our expertise, our software and hardware to other companies that could utilize it and help pay for it. So that's how we kind of got into that. So really what I'm saying to you, one thing leads to another, and you got to connect the dots. You got to be open to change. And that's something that I was going to talk to you a little bit about in the future. But,
yeah, definitely. I think, it's also difficult because you're looking at sort of like a 20-year span of work here. Having to go with these different industries and also having to grow and sort of bootstrap a company there and deal with these different new segments of the market that you haven't previously worked in. What are like one or two takeaways here that you've learned from having, started this gaming company and having grown that out that you could pass on to other entrepreneurs in the audience? I had to interrupt this podcast episode because I want to introduce you to my friends at The Gadget Flow. Their product discovery platform reaches 22 million people per month. They've helped more than 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns thus far, and they have a social media following of more than 700,000 followers. If you want to gain access to their marketplace and list your own product, you can go to thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today.
Well, let me first say, to give you kind of a little bit more overview, Quicksilver Development Company that I founded and then brought in my brother, my uncle, and a whole bunch of other people into that organization. That company, we took that for 25 years, so it's not an overnight process. It's long, hard work, working through a lot of people. We self-funded these companies, and we bootstrapped out of them, paying out a profit to make all that happen. The best thing I can say is about having integrity, honesty, always thinking of the person that you're selling equipment and other things to, how that's going to work out for them, how are they going to make a profit. You want to keep everybody in the game so they'll come back to you over and over and over. It's so hard to get a customer to start with, to knock on doors, make calls, and so forth. But once you do, you don't want to lose them. You want to do everything important that you can to continue that relationship. And we always thought of the other person first because it was a long-term goal of these companies. Let me give you one little example. We had a game called Turbo Pusher that we sold over into Taiwan to a major company. And in the United States, that game worked excellent. We never had a problem. Great earner. In Taiwan, they actually took the game, instead of having them inside of buildings playing with them and things, they put them outside the building. Those games developed problems where the playfields of them started warping and problems. They contacted us. We didn't know what was going on. We made some inquiries. One thing led to another. We found out they were in 100+ degree heat at times that they weren't intended to be operating in. But the point being is, I sent my brother in a group of team of people. We built all new play fields and so forth, sent them over to Taiwan, went out in the field to all those locations, which were numerous, and put new play fields at them, and didn't cost the Taiwan company a dime. But I can tell you, we were the only American company that did that, and that major company spent over $1.5 million with us the rest of the year. It was phenomenal. They all believed in us. The story got out, and they knew we'd back it.
Yeah,
they knew we'd back it. Yeah, you got it. You got to have integrity, goodwill, give a warranty. And when things don't work out, you've got to fess up to it and correct it as soon as possible. And, I can also tell you, I've never been sued in life, nor have I ever sued anybody. I've always been able to work out things one way or another.
Man. That is a blessing. Knock on wood, right?
Well, it is. It is. I can tell you a story where Sega USA, we were doing business with them back and forth. We actually did a contract where we were building equipment for ourselves and selling it overseas. They were going to sell some stuff for us in the United States. It got along where we had a contract with them. And, for $5 million on the last $1.5 million or so, that they reneged on it, and they said, hey, the market's changed. We can't use the rest of this equipment. And we gave them alternatives. And eventually we worked our way out of it. Eventually they paid off on it. So I'm just saying that, again, in life, and this is one of the biggest things I'll tell you up front, you asked me about, business. Change is inevitable. Embrace it. Expect the unexpected. Just because you get a contract or you do something like that, you got to fulfill it. Things happen in life. I can tell you, I've had people, die and not in my business, but, outside the business. But again, we had to work around people and things, keep people and stuff. So
there's always going to be change, and you have to be fluid with that, and you have to change with it. And sometimes when possible, I guess you use that to your advantage. And in other times, you just have to figure out, change sometimes means more problems and solving those problems. I think that's kind of the role of the entrepreneur, honestly, is to solve problems, to spot opportunities, and to assemble people and teams. And that's really where you get paid. That's your job as an entrepreneur. I think though, like, when you think about entrepreneurship and you have someone who's very successful like yourself, you only tend to look at like the good days, and like we highlight that and all the financial success. Could you share with the listeners maybe one failure that you've encountered in your life, either in a business or in some kind of situation that you could share with them, so they know that it's not all just success and happiness and rainbows. There's also some hardships.
Okay, yeah, I've had a lot of hardships up and down in life through business, and people hear about the success stories, but they don't hear about the failures. The one that comes to mind, and I'm still working my way out of, is having the company Quicksilver, development company. We made millions of dollars, and some of the profit and revenue and whatnot, my brother and I made, we put it into real estate. We've always been in real estate from college days. My brother and I bought a townhouse and lived together for a while. But anyways, we've always been in real estate. So from there, we actually bought a lot of new houses and retrofitted them for rental property in a large tract in Gardnerville. We're one of the largest rental companies, you might say, at a point in time. And I say we, it was my brother and I and the bank. We had the bank finance a lot of things as we were expanding out, and we're building more and more, with these groups of homes. And in 2008, 2009, we had 52% equity in all that housing. We're worth millions. And overnight, the housing market dropped below 50%. And we actually ended up upside down owing hundreds of thousands of dollars that we didn't have.
Wow.
And we actually have been working out of that over a number of years, and we're down to the last few properties and so forth. But we hung on, we persevered. We gave the bank back some up front, some we decided to pay negative cash flows on just to keep them going and things. And it's been a long-term thing of working out of all that. So again, I've had many successes. I know a lot of contractors and other people in those days that went completely out of business, went bust, couldn't hang on. Things happen. You look at the history of our president, Donald Trump, who I met one time and pitched on a gaming project and whatnot. But if you read the history and stuff, he had a horrendous problem, financial cash flows and whatnot. And he went through a lot of misery to hang on to what he had, and pump a lot of money into his trust, his family's trust, and other things. We were working with the bank and winding down and stuff. But what I would suggest to people, and I read a lot of books, you read about history of successful people and how they got there, and what did they do, and how did they manage, and so forth. And I've learned a lot because I read a lot. And I know, for instance, Bill Gates. He's a prolific book reader and so forth. Knowledge comes from tapping into others that have gone before you. You don't have to invent the wheel, but you have to know how the wheel works if you're going to take it and do something better with it. And the other thing I would suggest to everybody is, basically I look at myself as a problem solver. We're solving problems, and I've gone from corporate America to owning my own business as a serial entrepreneur and developing other companies, to now I'm a social entrepreneur, where basically I'm in the emergency preparedness and disaster relief industry at this time, been working in it for 12 years without, and self-funding all this to come out with some new products in the near future through Kickstarter, as we were talking. But I can tell you, just Bill and Melinda Gates, I got a couple quotes for you that they wrote. One is the optimism is important because it's a form of seeing what's possible and then helping make that a reality.
I like that.
There's a lot of good information out there.
I think it's important to always be like feeding your brain with positive success stories. That's one of the reasons why with this podcast, we try to bring on, people who are actively every single day going out there and raising money on Kickstarter. I also think it's super important to always be surrounding yourself with people that challenge you, the ways that you have, and also always seeking out opportunity, even if sometimes those opportunities turn out to be, difficulties and hardships we have to push past. Also, a lot of those opportunities are breakthrough successes. It's really not like an A to Z formula for going from not having a business to then being, quote unquote, successful in the eyes of society. It's more of like discovering kind of what you want. And I think with this new project, which I kind of want to segue to here, with this new project, I think you've kind of hit on what's really motivating you at this point in your life, and also the way that you want to impact the world. So I'd actually love it if you could share a little bit of, why is it that you wanted to create this particular Kickstarter project, and also who is it for, and what does it do?
Yeah, basically, 12 years ago, I had my other company, Quicksilver Development Company. But in 2005, Hurricane Katrina came in and was all on the news throughout, television. And I saw by the dome there, a lady on a bridge with a bunch of other people with water all the way around it, and there was no way to get off. And it was late at night, and the helicopter was above the bridge and flashed, the light was down. And this lady was holding a baby in her arms, and it was raining, and she was just there was, for her and the others, unless a boat or something came, the helicopter couldn't pick them all up. And it was at that point in time in my life that I said, and I had been through other disasters on my own, by the way, Loma Prieta in '89 in California when the Cypress Bridge went down and so forth. Anyways, at that point in time, it was like a light bulb. I said, I've got to get involved. I've got to do something. Our government has totally failed, everybody, the citizens, to how to protect themselves. And surely there must be a better answer. And there's got to be a solution to this. And I had just read a book at that time, Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. It's a blueprint for Christians living in the 21st century, but it's also a great tool for business, in my opinion. And at that time, I was looking at the benefits of living a purpose-driven life, and in the sense of gives meaning to your life, and it simplifies your life, and it focuses your life on doing things and how you get motivated and so forth and so on. And I really resonated with that book, and I had made a lot of money up and down, but it was time to say, I need to give back. I need to do something else. I need to find something that I can believe in that will bring help and support to others in their time of need. And I'm going to say it today. My wife is a chaplain. We give back. Just came back from the campfire up at Paradise, California. We help out with the Billy Graham ministry as well as Samaritan's Purse. We help feed 4,959 people. I think it was up there in, Christmas, day before Christmas. And it's just a place in my heart to saying that, I need to help out. I need to give back. I need to do something. It's more than just building products. It's doing something for others that I can, visually see. And there's such a need for it that hasn't been accomplished. If it was easy, somebody else would have done it. But it's taken 12 years of market niching and learning and going to all kinds of meetings with Red Cross and FEMA and this and that, whatever, to come to a point in time that we can actually offer something.
Yeah.
Now,
just to really speak there also, one of the things I think that a lot of people don't realize is that these disasters can happen literally at any point in time. We just saw with like the California wildfires. It's scary, man. Like I was about to do a webinar with Mobile Cause. This is like a nonprofit fundraising software, and you're going to do a webinar, educate people about how to do that. And they emailed me and they're like, "Hey, man, we got to postpone this because a lot of our employees, their houses actually burned down." And I'm like, oh my gosh, like to have your family threatened by a natural disaster, to think that could affect your life, it's really freaking scary. And also even the scarier thing is, what if you're not prepared? What if this happens to you? What are you going to do? So I can only imagine the level of fear, that these people feel, and also how you want to help with that.
Sal, there's only about 8% of the U.S. population that's prepared for the next disaster in their mind. And right now, there's about 85 million people worldwide that are homeless for whatever reason. They're out on their own. We've been studying this and statistically and stuff for 12 years, and to be able to do this. And along the way, in doing all this, it was like, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do different? How are we going to succeed where somebody else has failed? I mean, Red Cross and a lot of organizations and things like Samaritan Purse, they're really great and good in what they're doing, but there has never been a product out there that can provide protection, comfort, hope, and dignity, as well as save lives, reduce suffering, lower cost, and protect the environment. And that's what we're all about. But along the way, I read a couple of books that were really great that may help your audience. One was Change by Design, was by Tim Brown. And saying basically the design is fundamentally a creative endeavor to solve problems. The solution, to problems lie in the creative work of the team. And again, we're back to team efforts and so forth. Nobody works alone. And another great book that I've recently read that people really ought to dive into if they're doing products at all. It's called Blue Ocean Strategies. That was developed to stop the overcrowded industries competing head on head, basically resulting in nothing but what they call a bloody red ocean of rivals fighting over a shrinking profit pool. Lasting success increasingly comes from not, battling competitors, but from creating blue oceans of untapped new market space ripe for growth. So I've always been about innovation, new products, something that nobody else has thought before, like a wow moment, like why didn't I think of that or whatever. But again, there's a price to be the leader in the sense in some of these fields and things. There's the risk reward, and you have to be able to persevere and tough it out. And there's another book by another lady called Grit, just what it means to do that. And again,
these are all really great books, I think, for 2019, because I'm right now also starting to put together my reading list, because I want, for me, 2019 to be about learning more about leadership, because I think that's an area that I want to grow more in. I'm also, a younger guy having to figure out the ways of the world there and assemble teams and all of these different things. So that's an area that I got to work on more. But could we just spend like a second here just to also talk about, so what actually is this product that you've created? Just in a bite size, like 1 or 2 sentence, what is it and who is it for there? I'm speaking to the crowdfunders in the audience who have already launched a Kickstarter campaign, or have actually even successfully run a campaign. And the reason is, I think you will understand this pain point most. And that is, when you finally do raise money on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, The hardest part is not collecting the cash. The hardest part is shipping out all of those perks and rewards to your backers. It is a nightmare, my friends. It's a lot of spreadsheets, it's a lot of headache, and it's a lot of stress. That's why I recommend BackerKit. If you have not heard of BackerKit, they help you collect surveys, they help you collect data, and the entire fulfillment process is just so much easier and so many less spreadsheets when you use their software. You can check them out at backerkit.com and use CrowdCrux for a special discount.
Okay, the product is the Ultimate Survivor package, and again, it's the world's best survival product that'll be available on the marketplace. And as I mentioned earlier, it was really to save lives, reduce suffering, lower cost, and protect our environment. And we do that in a variety of ways. Basically, without pictures, I can tell you it's like a small suitcase, if you will. You can hand pick it up and carry it. You can two-wheel roll it. It actually breaks down to four wheels where you can roll it as a cart, and you can backpack everything together. But what's unique about this little case is that it turns and opens up and transforms into an off-the-ground sleeping and protection bevy tent. So you can climb in and out of the elements. Everybody thinks you need water first. Well, that's not necessarily true. If the environment like snow or too hot, it can kill you first because you need to thermal regulate your body temperature. But beyond that, which is really cool about it, it turns into a solar cooking device. So basically, not only can you prepare hot food, anything you can bake in the oven, you do put in this, but also you can purify water, you can sanitize things, so forth and so on. Solar cooking is becoming more popular and it's more prevalent, especially for locations in Africa and other places where there's a lot of refugees and things, and they can't. Women, when they go out to get firewood or whatever, a lot of times, number one, they're deforesting things, so they're ruining the forest. Number two, they get raped, robbed, and whatever happens out there a lot of times. So we're trying to keep women and children, all that, in the refugee areas so they can cook and do that. And then they don't have all that time and energy spent doing those things of cooking. They have time and energy to do other things, of educating themselves or getting into other things. So this project is really not just for survival. It's also for we'd like to get these products out to kids, the adopted kids type thing, so they have a product they can take with them wherever they go, so they have a know where they can sleep if there isn't a bed or a couch, whatever. It's also for our military. It's for our veterans. We're working on a veterans package, so our veterans have something. There's a lot of veterans out there that are homeless on the street right now, and there's a lot of suicides and stuff that are going along with them. We also contacted DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Nielsen, trying to get these products out to the immigration issue of all these kids and stuff coming across, and they're being detained in centers and stuff, but they're laying on mats with mylar, little, cellophane cover-ups at night. Mm-hmm. We'd like to have them have something to lay on. Again, getting off the ground, because the ground acts as a heat sink, and it could rob your body heat. And the other thing is, if you don't sleep well and you're disturbed and so forth, that creates all kinds of other problems. People become irritable, actually lose memory, they can't function as well. There's just so many reasons and things. I've got pages on why we did what we did. And again, it's not just building the product, it's knowing all the why force behind the product and what it will do, and also what it won't do. And again, we plan to go worldwide with this. It's a worldwide project. Everybody's included. It's for everyone. And we're not looking at making profits. We're looking at getting out and giving back. And that's the basis of starting this thing.
Where can people go? I know this is going to be coming out on Kickstarter. Where can people go to learn a little bit more about it at this stage in time? Or should they just wait until the campaign comes out? What can they type in online to try and find this?
Well, we've got an old website. It's called Survivitude, SURVIVEIT, and the number 2. And that website's from about 10 years ago. I've got a new website Eli's working on right now that's interactive and whatnot, and helps prepare people for disasters. We give them free information and resources where to go. That should be coming out within 2 weeks' time, right before our Kickstarter campaign. And again, that's a great source of information. Awesome. Right now, people, we're doing ads through Facebook right now. We have been for about the last month. It's costing us an arm and a leg, but we're getting information out to that, and a lot of people are signing up for our
messenger
future
bot.
our future stuff. We also I've done 9 video presentations on there, how to use the product, what the product is, why we started the product, all these things that you're asking me now. They basically can get through the Facebook ads. Just click on and look at it. And then again, we'll have our new upgraded website coming out in 2 weeks' time that will be interactive, that will really make a big difference for everybody else. Because As you know, after Kickstarter, you've got to go through the thing of people's information, but also warranty, how they get additional supplies if they want more water, food, whatever. I can also say, by the way, we have linked ourselves with the best companies in the world to produce this product. I think I told you once before, Flambeau. They're the world's leader in thermoplastic manufacturing of blow molding products and injection molding products. They have 12 manufacturing sites throughout the world. They're fully behind us to build the case and so forth. We have Ready America, which is a premier disaster supply company. They're fully behind us. They're providing water, food, and a lot of other supplies that go into this. And I can go on and on about the companies that are providing backpacks, this and whatever. But the point is, we have linked ourselves with the best companies and source of material and workmanship and products that we can, that we're not building, and to pull all this together. And again, that's why it's taken so long to get all these people aligned. You have to sell yourself first on yourself, and then you need to sell others the vision and get them to buy into the vision and what's in it for them, how they benefit from it. A lot of people like to give back their time, energy, and effort like we do with Samaritan's Purse, but there's a lot of companies out there, they need to make a profit, because if you don't make a profit, you become a hobby, or you go out of business, or you become a charity from others. So I'm saying you got to look at your direction and where you're going with all this.
Very, very well said. I think one of the big hallmarks also of your entire story here is the fact that you're always very aware of that. What are other people getting out of this? Why are other people wanting to follow my vision? Why is it that other people are going to hop on this train and also help to get this product out to the people? I think you said it very clearly. It's never about you. It's never about what you want necessarily. It's all about doing something for the world, doing something that's going to benefit other people, and also doing it in a way that makes business sense, is going to make people profit, and having a product that addresses all these different core needs, whether that's shelter, having to actually have a place that you feel safe in, that you feel safe in, and that you feel comfortable in. I think that's one of the biggest human needs, and one of the things it's very difficult to get to people that are refugees or people in different countries going through horrible disasters. So to have a suitcase basically that is kind of like this godsend, this gift, this package that you can send to them, and has everything that they need in it. That sounds to me like a really compelling vision, and also something that's going to actually make real change. Not just be one of these like people who maybe like a Facebook post or share something online and think that they're helping, but it's actually tangibly putting this into the hands of people, which is going to directly impact and affect their life. So thank you for sharing that. I guess I had one more question for you, Alex. When it came to your life, your entrepreneurial story, and also all the stuff that you've done. For you, what has been the most rewarding part of all of this? Whether that's gearing up to the launch of the Kickstarter, could be your time spent early in your career, could be your real estate investing, from whichever area. What's been the most rewarding aspect for you?
I tell you, in a couple of months, I'm going to be 70 years old. And looking backwards, at one point in time, it was making products and making profit, growing a company and a worldwide company and so forth. But over the years and stuff, through our rental business of house rental and other things, it really came home helping people, seeing the smile on their face, knowing that you made a difference. We're really about doing the most good for the most people at this point in time with the disaster project. It's really totally about that. And I looked at myself as one person. What can I do? What can I do different? But again, I had the realization we need to bring everybody into the fold. This is for everybody. Even if people don't buy products from us, they can go on our website and learn about disasters. They can learn about survival. They can learn what they need as far as water, food, this and that, whatever. We got it all broken down so they understand how they can better protect themselves and their loved ones. So again, right now I'm getting the best joy out of this thing. My happiest time will be when I see these actually in the field with survivors that are actually using these units. That's when I'm going to really, that's what I'm working for, that day to come. And by the way, giving back we're giving back to Billy Graham's units, Samaritan Purse and others. we're providing, and I've written a letter to Franklin Graham and so forth. We're giving either in product or in profit money to them so they can continue on with the good work they're doing worldwide. We really support them 100%. I encourage everybody to get online and see what they're doing. It's phenomenal. And again, you got to believe in something bigger than yourself. You got to get involved in something that makes you want to get up every day and go to work and make it happen and feel good about it. And I do every day. Yes, there's ups and downs. There's a lot of unknowns going forward. I have a lot of things I need to still cover to make all this happen. But again, I feel motivated. I feel blessed. And I want to thank you for your time, Sal. I want to thank you for everybody's involvement in this. And again, it's been a great team effort, and we've got the best team going forward. Doing this.
I think you do. And you're doing all the stuff necessary to really have a great project and to have a really good launch out of the gate. So thank you so much, Alex, for coming on the podcast, sharing some of your life lessons, sharing us this new product you've been working on, and also giving us a bit of insight there into sort of the behind the scenes of what it's like to actually be an entrepreneur and to have success. I really appreciate that, talking a bit about your failures and also getting into some of those golden nuggets. So look forward to watching your project when it's live, seeing all the progress there, and we'll have to have you back.
Sounds great, Sal. Again, thank you for your time and your audience. Appreciate it.
Let me tell you about our latest sponsor, SendPro Online by Pitney Bowes. Shipping can be complex. Things can get really confusing really fast. With SendPro Online, it's easy to save time and money no matter what you send, from letters and packages to overnights and flats. You can easily compare USPS, UPS, and FedEx in an all-in-one online tool. You can print shipping labels and stamps directly from your printer. You can even track all of your shipments and get email notifications when they've arrived. SendPro Online is only $14.99 a month, and listeners can get a free 30-day trial when you visit pb.com/crowdcrux. That's pb.com/crowdcrux. Experience the convenience of SendPro Online for yourself when you sign up for a free 30-day trial. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman. Thank you for tuning in today, spending some time here with me, learning a bit about business, about startups, about real estate, and also about leadership. How do you lead teams of people? How do you assemble people around you so you can pull off a project that you yourself alone could not do? I think, honestly, the best projects in the world, if you look at them, the iPhone, you look at huge movies that have made millions and millions of dollars, you look at very innovative products, laptop computer, VR, etc. All of these were created by teams of people. It's very rare that one individual is going to do everything when it comes to putting together this entire project. Even authors, authors like myself, it's really rare for an author to do every single thing. They might hire someone to do a cover design, and they might hire someone to do marketing, and they might hire someone to read their audiobook. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades a little bit, but one of the things I wanted to get better at this year was leadership. Leading the people that are helping me out, teams of people, and creating something that's larger than myself. I also think that for a crowdfunding campaign, that is literally the hallmark. That is the hallmark of a successful campaign. The people who are able to raise significant amounts, I'm talking $1 million and up, $700,000. They're able to assemble a team around themselves that is invested in their success, that believes in the vision, and is committed to making this thing happen, man. They basically have everything on the line, and they are willing to go after and attack this dream because they know that if they succeed, it's going to be literally life-changing. It's going to, change the trajectory of their life forever. And that is the game of entrepreneurship, my friend. Sometimes there are risks. Sometimes it will work out. Sometimes it won't. But it's always about having that larger vision. And that's kind of what pulls people into what it is that you're doing and makes them want to work with you. So if you want to work with me, you want to bring me on your team and sort of also use the knowledge that I've built up over the last several years. I got into crowdfunding in 2012, so it's been 6 or 7 years now that I've been working with campaigns. I've been seeing ones launch. I have so many reference experiences by now. It's crazy. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that, you also want me to personally look over your project, give you feedback, get into your strategy, ways that can help you, reconnect you with other resources that are out there that maybe you haven't even thought of, and sort of set you up for success. This is the most valuable consulting session, coaching session, call that I think that you will ever have when it comes to the success of your business. So this link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. That is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Just give me a little bit of information there about your goals, your aspirations, some more information about you, and we can schedule that call and start 2019 off right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will see you next time.